The Tuatha Dé Danann have long been a main feature in Irish mythology and folklore, with some falling into obscurity and some finding popularity. One of the ones who has always maintained a prominent place in people's minds is Lugh. He appeals to a wide array of people because he is a deity with many purviews and broad appeal, a god of warriors but also of craftsmen, who stood up against injustice perpetrated against his people and fought to restore right order. Lugh may also have been so popular because he was a very relatable deity, one who could be hot-tempered but was also a good leader and who is shown caring deeply about his family, especially his father Cian. He has many epithets, but perhaps the most well-known one is Samodonach, many skilled, because of the many arts he had mastered and used. In many ways, he can be an ideal deity for this modern world, who is likely to easily adapt to technology. Lugh features in several of the more important stories in the mythological cycle, including the pivotal Cath Maige Tuired, which tells of the great battle between the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Fomorians. In that story, we learn of how Lugh came to join his father's people at Tara, the seat of the High King, just as the war was beginning. This came at a vital time as the Tuatha Dé Danann were set to battle against a fierce and fearsome enemy, led by several kings, including Balor of the Evil Eye, who had a poisonous eye that would destroy any army it looked upon. There had been a prophecy that Balor's grandson would be the only one who could kill him, and Lugh was that grandson, the child of Balor's daughter Enne and the Tuatha Dé Danann warrior Cian. Lugh is challenged when he tries to enter Tara, and to get in, he proves that he possesses all of the skills valued by the gods, and by extension, by the society of the time. This puts him in a position to join the Tuatha Dé Danann as they prepare to fight and to play the role that he was prophesied to play in the battle itself, by challenging and killing his grandfather. We see this same story from a different perspective in the later tale of the fate of the children of Teddan, where we learn of Lugh's conception, birth, and role in the battle against the Fomorians. Only in this version of the story, it is Lugh who encourages the Tuatha Dé Danann to rise up against their oppressors and who leads them in that fight. In both versions, Lugh and his actions before and in the battle are crucial, establishing the importance of the deity in a wider context. Mythology isn't our only source of information about Lugh. Unlike some other members of the Tuatha Dé Danann, his importance was enough that he remained prominent in folklore, especially in the west of Ireland. In the folk stories, he is often euhemerized into a pseudo-historical or human figure, who nonetheless carries out many of the same roles found in the mythology. For example, in a common version of the story, Balor is a tyrant who lives on Tory Island, and there is a prophecy that only his grandson can kill him, so he locks his daughter away in a tower on his island. A man named Cian, in turn, is put in charge of watching the magical cow of a smith, and when the cow escapes, he has no choice but to try to go to Tory Island to reclaim her from Balor, who has taken her. Cian gets help from Manwë to sneak onto the island in disguise, and manages to both reclaim the cow and have a tryst with Balor's daughter by following Manwë's advice. He returns the following year to claim his son, Lugh, and rescue him from Balor, narrowly escaping with the child. Balor isn't so easily left behind, however, and arranges for Cian's death, setting in motion the events of his own doom as Lugh then determines to kill Balor to avenge his father. He does this and succeeds in ridding the area of Balor's influence, echoing the order of mythological tales of his fight against Balor, king of the Fomorians. One of the most persuasive modern views of Lugh is that of a sun god. So it may surprise people to learn that this isn't an idea found in the mythology, but comes from the later 19th century Celtic revival period. During this time, many of the Irish gods were interpreted through a classical lens. That is, they were compared to gods from Greek and Roman cultures, with the idea that the way these classical deities were understood formed a template to understand all pagan gods. With that in mind, there was a belief that there must be a sun god to be found, and the consensus was that Lugh fit the bill. Based on this description from Cross and Slover's 1936 version of the tale. It is then Bres, son of Elithan, rose up and said, "It is a wonder to me the sun to be rising to the west today, and it rising in the east every other day. It would be better for us it to be the sun," said the Druids. "What else is it?" said he. "It is the shining of the face of Lugh, son of Eflin." Although the epithet sunface was not uncommon, and we see several other deities described that way, this particular passage with Lugh and his connection to the August harvest festival of Lughnasa, assembly of Lugh, seems to have inspired the view of him as a sun god. While not found in the older myths or stories, it has certainly become enormously popular in modern paganism and artwork, and is a view that resonates with many people. Another interesting connection that we find with Lugh is to the well-known leprechaun. This comes from an early modern and modern folk etymology of the word leprechaun, which parsed it as little Lugh body, and connected the word to the idea of the diminishment of the older pagan gods. While we know that leprechaun in older Irish, Luchopan, is borrowed from the Latin leprecus, and was probably used to replace the older Irish abach, the Lugh connection has been persistent in its popularity, hinting again at the wider significance and popularity of the god. While the idea of Lugh being directly connected to leprechauns is recent and spurious, we do find a deeper connection between him and the fairy folk. As with all of the Tuatha Dé Danann, Lugh went to live in the Sidhe, the fairy mounds, after the Gaels came to Ireland, taking up residence in the Sidhe of Rhodroban. In the Tambo Cúlneach, Lugh comes to the aid of his son Cuchulainn, appearing out of the Sidhe and taking Cuchulainn into the Sidhe for 3 days to be healed. In the modern world, Lugh is seen as all of these things and more. People look to him as a god of good weather, the sun and the harvest, but also of technology, like computers and cell phones, things that emphasize complex skills and multiple uses. He has retained his older powers and associations but gained new ones, evolving along with humanity so that he is just as needed in a modern city as he was in an Iron Age Celtic ring. If the pattern holds true, then Lugh will continue to be a popular and often invoked deity well into the foreseeable future. Lugh is a complex deity with layers of folklore and beliefs surrounding him. He appears across mythology as a warrior and as a king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and into folklore still as a hero contesting against forces of tyranny. He has been re-envisioned as a sun god and is celebrated as such by many people, and is understood to have a connection with the fairy folk. Called the many-skilled, Lugh is indeed a versatile god whose many abilities as well as experience we find him going through in stories make him a god that people can easily feel an affinity for. We have barely touched on even a fraction of his stories or character here, and those who are interested in Lugh can begin diving deeper by looking at the original myths featuring him, and from there seek out the many places that can still be found in art and story. As much as other things change, Lugh remains with us. You can learn far more about Lugh with our book, Pagan Portals Lugh by Morgan Daimler. who also provided the words for this video. Thank you, Morgan. Lugh is a god of Ireland who is also found in other Celtic language speaking cultures, popular historically and just as well loved today. A deity of kingship and battle, he led his people out of oppression. A god skilled in magic, he used his power to bless and curse. Multifaceted and known as the many-skilled, Lugh is an intriguing member of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and we can learn a great deal about him through his mythology by looking at his cognates in other related cultures and his modern appearances. In this book, we will seek a deeper understanding of this well-known yet mysterious figure. It's available from Moonbooks Publishing. Thank you so much for watching. A special thank you to our members. You too can become a member and gain early access to videos just like this one. Hit the join button for more information. Subscribe for weekly videos, ring the bell to be notified when we post, and we will see you next time.